Hello, everyone, and live from Vienna, Austria, it's Saturday morning. I'm Sister Vassa, and I'm glad to see all of you beautiful people, even though I can't actually see you, but I can see your live chat messages. I'm going to get right to the point today, my friends. First of all, our very first point being that the first to the live chat was this week Alexandra. So congratulations to Alexandra. She is now the proud, although distant across the ocean, recipient, while I remain the keeper of the coveted trophy, the Emperor Franz Josef trophy for acts of heroic distinction. I tell you, as usual, that the name sounds a bit heavy, but that's what our ancestors called it. That's how we received it, and we are not ones to tinker with that hallowed tradition. So, see, all of my assistants are away, but here Katarina's calling me from Italy, trying to assist me. Wait a second, everybody. So, Sarah, the previous proud winner, her name goes into the cup. This is the way it works, everybody. And let's have a round of thundering applause. Is that a word? Thundering? For Alexandra. Okay, so I have a lot of exciting things to discuss with you, my friends, so stick around. I had to go through that important ceremony. Congratulations to you, Alexandra. Try to be nice to everyone else, even if they feel a little bit jealous of you now. All right, it's a cross and a blessing at the same time, you know, to be rewarded as you have been. So everybody, listen, we're going to talk about several things. The perplexing topic and oft misunderstood topic of the wrath of God as compared to ours. Secondly, we're going to go on to discuss the relatively new Netflix series called Afterlife by Ricky Gervais. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. I think you'll find it interesting. And then we might get, if we have some more time, see, Katarina's writing to me that she doesn't see me live, but it looks to me like we have a few of you here. Does everybody see me? Well, I am live. Katarina, are you listening to me? I am live. I don't know. It says that I'm streaming, so I guess they have to put up the link. I don't know. Sorry, everybody. It looks to me, it's being reported to me that people are not seeing this. All right, I'm writing to... See, I'm here alone. My assistants are all away. Yes, I'm live. All right, so can anybody see anything? I'm going to write... But I don't know whether you see me. Whether you see me. Okay, I see you people are waiting, and I don't know how to resolve this issue. I am live at a different link. So, I don't know. She says that she found it. Has anybody else found me, where I am, live? I don't know. So, I don't know what to do at the present moment, my friends. I don't know why this isn't here. Okay, stick around just for one more second. We'll try to resolve this. I don't know what to do. Katarina, you're watching this. I don't know what to do. Okay, but I don't have a live chat where I am. I don't see it. You know? Mortis can't see us, so... So she's telling me that she sees me, but she's not putting up the link. All right, so we're going to try to get the link up. To provide... See, I also can't see the other link. In a second. All right, everybody. I don't know. I can't see your live chat, my friends. So I don't know what to do about that. Okay, this will be fun to watch later when we've lost a few minutes. So God's Wrath and Ours, then Ricky Gervais's Afterlife, and then if we have time, as I've said, is everybody with me now? I'm sorry, everybody, but we have a problem with everybody finding the link, usually on this show. It takes us a few minutes. Stay with me, everybody. Sorry about it. Here we go. Okay. Everyone click on this link, Chinatown says. Chinatown, there's no link, though. We need the link. All right. I'm sorry, everybody, but we are experiencing operating difficulties. And then we will discuss with you, if you are still with me. If you are still with me, we will be discussing certain burning issues in summer fashion, like the very difficult phenomenon of the trend of the maxi dress. Has this bothered anyone, or is it only me? We'll get to that, perhaps. And then I will tell you that I have spotted several popped collars on middle-aged men on the streets of Vienna, and I took some pictures because I thought you wouldn't believe it unless I took pictures. Okay, you know what? I don't know. We might have to end this show. That's what might have to happen today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about it, my friends. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody. I don't see, I'm waiting for my assistant to provide you with the link, but we don't have it. Okay, everybody, I'm sorry. I think this is not going to work today. And it's unfortunate. I just don't see the link. So, you know, I don't even know if anybody sees me. I just don't see. I don't see the chat, so I can't talk to you. I don't know if you're with me. If anyone knows where we were previously, then please help out, okay? And give me the link, because I myself can't continue the show. Yes, but I don't have the link. Okay. Just a second, everybody. Yeah, I hear people are saying that they see me, but I don't see me. I don't see the link. I'm on the wrong page. I need the link. I don't know why my assistant is not sending me the link. And I would like to see the link. I would like to see the link, my friends, in the previous chat box. Okay, that's what I see. We're going to witness not only an example of, we're going to witness an example of human wrath, everybody. And it's not going to be pretty. You know, remember the introduction to the Incredible Hulk? Mr. McGee, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Remember that? I'll turn into the Hulk before your very eyes. All right, you guys, Alexandra's writing, we're begging you not to go, but I can't continue when I can't see my, this, you know, little chunk of paradise right here. Thank you, Clinique. Okay, you guys, I'm just going to clown around. I can't see my pictures. Do you understand? I'm going to put up pictures for you people to explain our subject matter. and I just can't see that screen. Where are you chatting? All right. Well, oh, I finally have a new email message. Let's see. Let's see if this brings me to you guys. All right. I have a link.
I finally have a new email message.
Here you guys
Let's see. Let's see if this brings me to you guys.
Oh, all right.
All right.
Now
I have.
Okay.
I finally have a new email message.
Here you guys.
Let's see. Let's see if this brings me to you
There's
guys.
one little problem.
Oh, all right.
Now
I have.
Here.
I finally have a new email message.
Hear that?
Let's see. Let's see if this brings me to you guys.
Oh,
Oh, all right. I have.
Here.
I finally have a new email message.
How do we
Let's see. Let's see if this brings me to you guys.
Oh,
Oh, all right. I have.
Here.
I finally have a new email message.
How to make the audio stop.
I finally have a new email message.
Okay. The audio. Aha. Is that better? I think that's better. Now I can't hear. Sorry, Lynn. I know. All right. Is anybody with me? Okay. We survived, everybody. Now I think it's set up. Do you see? Ugh. This was all just a publicity stunt. No, I wish I could say that. It's actually testimony to I guess. Okay, here we go. All right, everybody. I'm back, and let's move on with the show. All right, I can see your chat, and I can see myself, and I can put the pictures in, hopefully. Okay, our very first topic for you today is, first of all, before I get to God's wrath, I'm sorry, I'll have to cut everything a little bit short today. I want to mention to you something that I forgot. Next week, we have a very special guest. As usual, our guests are special, but I am interviewing none other than Professor of Brown University, internationally renowned expert in early Christian, Byzantine, and especially Syriac Christianity. Early Christian studies, Byzantine studies, Susan Ashbrook Harvey. So Susan has so kindly agreed to come on my show. She's also choir director in her church. She belongs to the Antiochian Orthodox Church in America. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you more about the interview now, but next Saturday, tune in. We'll be talking about a lot of fascinating topics, not only topics relevant to women's ministries in the church, but just all of the wealth of knowledge and experience in top scholarship, both historical and theological, on the basis of extensive historical research that this woman brings, into our lives, also in the church. So I'm really looking forward to that. I have been corresponding with her as to formulating the questions, and I think that you will very much enjoy meeting Professor Susan Ashbrook Harvey. All right, that was my bit of news about that. And on to this topic. Now, it was hard for me to find an appropriate picture for God's wrath, but this was the one I went with, Noah's Ark, a sort of, cartoony picture of Noah's Ark. You know what? I'm not really enjoying seeing two of myself. God knows why I wouldn't, right? Wait a second. I'm trying to set this up so everybody's happy and I can see you, but only one of me. I want to see your chat. Okay. So as far as God's wrath goes, these are my thoughts lately on the topic, because some of us more than others, but are challenged with issues of anger at times. I'll tell you that in my life, I never really, this wasn't one of my big issues, but I am finding that having like a little bit of, because we have this little online mission that I happen to be, at least on my location, responsible for, with certain people working for me, and as someone who is like the manager or the one in my little way, the one in the position of responsibility, um, I find it suddenly difficult sometimes not to get angry. And so I'm grateful for this challenge. Why? Because it makes me look at this beast, and contemplate it and to understand it better. This phenomenon that it's said, like fear, when we hear the expression in biblical contexts of fearing God, uh, when we hear about anger, even, but, expressions like God being angry, let me give you an example. In this, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to show you this quote from Psalm 6. O Lord, rebuke me not in your anger, nor chasten me in your wrath. Have mercy on me, O Lord, for I am weak. I want to point out first that there is a difference between God's anger and the way we usually express ours. I want to suggest to you that our anger, at least I think that most people will be able to relate to this. When we get really angry, it's either about a something or someone we love very much. If we were indifferent to something or someone, we wouldn't be expressing a sort of, I'll call anger a twisted form of love, a twisted outburst of love that is feeling powerless. Something that we want and care about very much to go a certain way is not going that way. Okay, so I'm suggesting that if I could be reminded in a moment where my love is being like feeling powerless and is being twisted into this outburst of anger, I'd like to remind myself in those moments that I could perhaps channel this back into real, true, divine love, so that it's an outburst of love. I know that sounds like, well, how do you do that, Well, I find that I can do that when I reconnect with God, who in his wrath and anger never ceases to be outpouring upon us love. Now, I know that a lot of questions arise in connection with certain Old Testament passages and God's, outpouring of wrath, but as is relevant to how I'm contemplating our own, manifestations of anger, I think that contemplating this further, I also remind myself that God doesn't become unproductive, uncreative, and damaging to us in his wrath and anger. But I do become damaging and destructive in my anger. As the Apostle James reminds us in his epistle, he says, the anger of a man, it's in the first chapter of James, the anger of a man does not accomplish the righteousness of God. So we become uncreative. And to be creative, we have to channel our anger back into that creative flow of energies that is God's grace, by letting God take over. All of this is a spiritual phenomenon, right? So these are metaphors, but we hand things over to God that we may see how to move forward by his grace and through love rather than anger. Because when I recognize that I'm powerless and I react with or in anger, the fact is that I am absolutely right that I'm powerless because I always have been without God's power, you know? But I'm not accepting that in the moment of anger. And it's this kind of, the sort of tantrum is a protest against it. But when I re-accept it, you know, and let God, uh, let God envelop me in this kind of pouring out of His grace, which it's interesting that God, even looking at this picture of Noah's Ark, that the same water in which we are saved is acting here in the story of the ark as the waters that came and destroyed almost all of mankind at that point. I mean, they weren't completely eviscerated, but the, the soul those people lived on, and also, uh, were also preached to in hell by John the Baptist after he was beheaded, and then they also witnessed how the Lord descended into Hades and had the chance to accept him or not. That's a separate story, but the reasons that God puts an end or allows for death to come upon people at certain points in life is not always something that, well, it's not ever that something that we're given to understand the why of. But I want to point out, just like God's anger is not different from His outbursts of love, even though we don't really understand that, in the sense that just we have too much baggage surrounding the words like anger through misusing it. But what would be anger or wrath if it always was an outburst of, like, look, I'm not indifferent to you, or I care about you. So I'm suggesting that the biblical descriptions of divine anger are reminders to humankind, hey, I really care about you. Just like God's judgment of us, that He's going to hold us accountable, and His whole plan, to have this final judgment, is this great expression of trust and of caring, of also respecting us enough to hold us accountable, to say, hey, I care to find out how all of this goes, and then to see how you did. All right, everybody, so I see you're all here with us, with me, I mean. So I don't know if anybody got anything out of, if you're still with me, out of this talk about God's anger or wrath. But for my own experience and practical use, I find it helpful to say, oh, okay, I'm getting angry, so I really care, and it helps to take things down a notch and express to your loved ones or loved one, whatever your family's situation is, or whatever lack thereof. But you can say to the person, perhaps weave in, or at least say to yourself, try to steer words if maybe you shouldn't be using words when you're still angry, but you can steer your heart into constructive love, and then you can express it in a way that's not anger. All right, so that's it for that. And I do have a noisy loop going, Marcy is saying. Huh. Oh no. Really? You guys hear a noise? That's not good. I don't know how to... I thought I turned the noise off. You know what? I don't know, everybody. Is this just being a mess? If you're hearing an echo, I'm not going to go on. That's crazy. Marcy, you're saying there's noise? Okay, people, tell me, are we gonna stop this or what? Or am I gonna talk about Ricky Gervais's Afterlife, the Netflix series? Tell me. Hmm. Yeah, I'm being told the sound is not good. Well, all right, I'm turning the mic back. I'm back. The mic is on. I'm sorry. I thought that was causing the noise. But yes, look, Katarina's calling me. So, you guys, I hope we're all finding this to be a powerful bonding experience. That's the way I'm going to spin it. We're bonding, zillions. We haven't been through this before. So, all right, I turned the mic on. Did I? You can't. Can you hear me now? I turned the mic back on. You have to be able to hear me. I turned it on. You guys, can you hear me? I think you can hear me. The mic is on. uh, Tell me if you can hear me, please. All right. If you can hear me now, I'm back. Okay. I'm saying this, I think, is a powerful bonding experience we're having, my friends. That's how we're going to spin it. All right. Powerful bonding experience that we've been through all of these trials today. And here we are. Everything's fine. All right. Here we go. We're talking about Ricky Gervais's relatively new Netflix series called Afterlife. What is it about? If you haven't watched it, don't worry. I'm going to use it as a springboard to talk about certain things that I simply find interesting for some reason of my own right now. All right. And I think you'll find it interesting. The thing about Ricky Gervais, everybody, first of all, before I tell you what the series is about, is that he's one of these celebrities, actually a comedian. He's not any dummy, right? He's an interesting, a little bit smug, I would say, kind of like, sort of, I would say, middle class Brit, that, but very talented, had very interesting concepts like creating this show called The Office. That was first in the UK, where he played the main, the boss. And interesting because the show really is about almost nothing. It's about, and then the American Office, which we Americans found a lot more funny with, it's just the way it is. It's a cultural thing. I'm not trying to put down, Ricky Gervais's rendition of the character. What was his name? David Brent? David? Is it David? Anyway, long story short, the reason I'm talking about it is that Ricky Gervais, I find throughout the years, because you know I try to keep my hand on the dysfunctional pulse of popular culture. That's my excuse for watching some of this nonsense. Um, he has increasingly been interested in talking about his atheism and not only, mocking religion in his stand up and weaving in, not so much, I didn't find this was not a concern, I think, of the show, The Office. But then came shows like what was it called? Extras. There was, I think, Derek. But this one is really asking the questions of, because see, Ricky's very smug in his atheism, and he's interested in trying to explain how, and I find he's being very unsuccessful at it, explain how you still have meaning and you still have a reason to live. It's very dark. You still have a reason to live if you don't believe in God or the afterlife. Because as an intelligent person, he's sort of, you can sense that he's realized what, Dostoevsky says through one of his characters in The Brothers Karamazov, that if there's no God, then first of all, everything's allowed, and there's like no point. There's no point. Why if it's all going to end, why are you working for anything? Why are you trying? Why should you be like nice to people? Basically, it's all just going to end. The harder you try, actually, sort of the less it makes any sense, because it's all going to just go to worms, right? So it's really bleak. And so in this series, The Afterlife, what happens is Ricky is in it, Ricky Gervais. He plays a character named Tony, who recently lost his wife, and it's nowhere, England. And he's this middle-aged guy who works for this small-town newspaper that also reports just silly stories about really nothing, just really silly small-town little stories. And when he loses his wife, basically he contemplates suicide, but he decides instead to stick around and just spend some time doing whatever he pleases, saying exactly what's on his mind, because it doesn't matter anyway. And then when he's done doing that, enjoying this sort of superpower of doing whatever he pleases, he could always kill himself. This is his thought. But he finds that what saves his life, and this is his philosophy, if you will, he finds that it is serving others and the fact that others also are interested in helping him out that saves his life. And the first thing that stops him from committing suicide is that he needs to feed the dog. Okay, so that was the first moment where he delayed. I don't know, I forget, was he gonna, shoot himself or what? So the message being, regardless, of the fact that he sees as a fact, that God is not, basically, life is worth living because of what he says. One second, I have the note here. Because of this connection to others, that people are essentially good to one another, and it's worth being nice to other people because of this connection. Okay, so that was a long, introduction. But what I find interesting and disappointing, because basically, if your philosophy has as its foundation this sort of tortured argument as to why you shouldn't kill yourself, if that's how negative your state of being is, then isn't there something wrong with your philosophy? Is something, do you maybe notice that there are perhaps people that don't think basically of life as why do this? You know, like why? If you approach life like there's this big question, I'm not saying that people don't come into that dark place, but I'm saying that you might be missing out on something because you must have seen that there is also in nature uh, uh, this will to live. There's a struggle to stay alive, and amongst human beings, some people more than others, but there is a great will to live. And the question is, what am I getting wrong here if I'm sort of disconnected with life itself? And let me move on to my next point. So basically, I'm saying I think Ricky Gervais falls short in answering the question that he's posing, because he's basically posing the question, why live? So I'd like to suggest, first of all, that this is a person who hasn't yet discovered life. Okay, that's my claim. I am throwing that out there. And I'm sure he is very concerned with what I think about this. But I want to get to the answer that he does come to, but I feel like he doesn't understand it. He says, it's those mundane interactions that save your life at the end of the day. This is one of the lines from the series. By the way, it's been renewed by Netflix for a second season. It's only had one season. So what he's telling us, actually, without having the theological language or the tradition of generations of experience of God's revelation in something called church, he's talking about communion. That communion, it's the connections with other people, the self-offering that goes on for some reason in the world that can bring you back to life. You know, even a person on the brink of suicide who was also, for some reason, living for another person, his wife, and she died, and he doesn't see a reason to live until he says, well, now I'm going to live for feeding my dog because my dog needs me. But there are answers to the phenomena that a human being observes as a human being goes through this adventure and this mystery called life. One of those experiences is that for some reason, this mysterious thing happens that's invisible, and you can't really prove it or explain it in any terms, say, from the natural sciences, that you receive when you give. You receive when you give. There are certain mysteries to being human that are, you see that you literally receive a different level of life, that you truly live in communion. Now, the answers given by God's revelation to these strange phenomena that go on a spiritual level that cannot be proven, they can be experienced, right, by the whole human being. There is a source of life. There is a source of this oneness of everybody. That oneness and communion in the triune God, who by his Holy Spirit and according to his loving will for us to live as he lives, for us to have life abundantly, and by sending us his Son who becomes one of us, right? And this oneness is something Ricky Gervais intuits and uses to say, hey, here's the reason we should live, is that, you know, those of us who are wondering why death is not preferable to life because we're so dark, I'll tell you. But the thing is, he's offering a response that is deeply Christian and even ecclesial. He's saying that it is worth living because of the connections we find with other people that he finds rewarding, both because he receives from other people, he sees that people can are self-offering, but he doesn't get too deep into that response. And he has now come up with another thing. I haven't seen it yet, but his new stand-up routine is called Supernature, I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I want to see if anybody can hear this. So it's working? All right. So his new little, atheistic message that he wants to pass on, he thinks is very original, I suppose. Okay, I think there's some controversy here as to whether. Yeah, I know. Celestine Joshua is talking about just how he can't stand Ricky Gervais. Okay, so yeah, I know. Forget about what you personally think about him anyway, because I'm interested in this. Of course, it's a huge topic, and we know there are many attempts by atheists to claim to respond to this observation by people of faith that they really have no reason to be good, that they have no real foundation for morality if there is no God. I mean, Nietzsche knew this when Nietzsche lamented, even though he's misquoted as celebrating that God is dead, but he said God is dead and we killed him, and Nietzsche was concerned. Well, I know, whatever, we're not going to talk about Nietzsche, but you're going to be like, he's a madman and caused a lot of harm with his thinking, but, well, he realized the implications of removing God from the picture, which we are free to do. Doesn't mean he doesn't exist, but he doesn't shove himself down our throats, 1 second, everybody. So, I guess you're still here with me, right? So I want to point out that in his new stand-up now, I don't have a graphic for you for Supernature. I'm just interested in this phenomenon of this, of him making it such a central concern of his, show business, activity, to provide some kind of a new atheist philosophy. And in Supernature, I only saw him talk about it in an interview with Conan O'Brien the other day. He also wants to tell people that another reason for living is nature, because it gives us joy. He's like, he always likes to say that he loves dogs, and he likes to say how, he experiences joy by being, in nature. So it's this, I would suggest one can take it as a divinization of nature. But what I want to point out is, again, yes, it's actually been the experience of many people in many generations. If one would take this more deeply, I'm just trying to put this into words that I think, of course, there's nothing new in the types of solutions that Ricky thinks that he comes up with for people in order to somehow replace God and religion. But he's saying things that are religious answers. For example, in the cosmology of the, very incredible, amazing church father, Maximus the Confessor. Maximus the Confessor wrote extensively about the revelations of God's Logoi, or purposes, in all created things, also in human beings, that every creature or creation of God has its own purpose, or logos, God's will and thoughts for this created being. But also the not not human created things, have each their own logos. Now, with human beings that do have free will, their tropos might be tropos, or the mode in which they either fulfill or don't fulfill God's purpose, might be very different from their actual logos. And the observation that we have through contemplation of God's various logi in the natural world, also in nature, is very enriching and very life-bringing for us. You see, with Maximus's cosmology, he really he brought together cosmology, anthropology, also soteriology, in ways that no Christian writer had achieved before him. He also corrected a lot of the mistakes of Origen's, the Alexandrian theologian Origen's thinking. And Maximus, in many ways, also explained and elevated in the way it was supposed to be understood in Christian thinking, the material world and the human body. And so he said, actually, that these, the mysteries of God's salvific works for us, including the cross, of course, the sending to us of his Son, that this was never just a result of the so-called fall. He said, God created the world in order. Now, don't get confused about this, everybody. I'm not making it up. This is Maximus the Confessor's words. He says that God created the universe in the first place. That God revealed himself and created the world in order to become man in this world. That was his initial purpose. It wasn't because man fell and then God had to do this to clean the mess up. And he says that's why he created man, that he would also become man, and in order to divinize man through that. So there's a lot of amazing things here, but they all bring together, you see, also God's chosen symbols in the way he continuously works in certain ways from the beginning. The fact that a lot of people find comfort in something basic like trees. You know that city planners will have to include a certain number of parks for people not to just go crazy or commit suicide all over the place, because the green of the trees, if we have the eyes to see, also remind us of a basic, this basic thing that God also spreads all over, well, not all over the entire planet, but where we like to live, we have trees of various sorts. I mean, every tree carries also with it, in the way of thinking that Maximus had, certain favorite, mysteries of God, like the cross, that God plants this certain trees in the Garden of Eden. There is the tree of life, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A lot of people mix these up. But anyway, something like God's playing around always with his favorite symbols. Moses with the staff, with the wooden staff dividing the waters. Water is a favorite symbol of God's that he has at the very beginning. There is the Spirit, hovering over the waters at the very beginning of Genesis. What I'm saying is that the natural world, the material world, all of this is revealed, or reveals rather to us, a loving God who is very much present, who is not divorced from the physical world nor from the human being. But see, someone like Ricky Gervais will say, well, that's all a lot of you know what, because that's just not true. And he said it in the interview with Conan. No, with actually, I also watched an interview with Stephen Colbert. He's like, there's no proof for that. You know, this talk about proof. As if everything that he says, you know, is backed up by solid evidence of some sort. But uh, yeah, there's no proof. There wasn't generations upon generations of everybody who's anyone always believed in the invisible and supernatural. It's very new for people to claim they don't believe in anything that they can't see. I mean, the most important things in our lives are things we can't see, like the feeling of loss or the feeling of gain through self-offering, like receiving when you give or when you're in connection with. When you're disconnected, as Father Barnabas told us in last week's interview on this show, you know, it's from a disconnection that addictions occur. Addictions that bring many people to the brink of death or even bring on death, right? And that, again, there's this mysterious death-bringing factor to real death, you know, physical death, also spiritual death, but forget about spiritual death. Physical death comes from disconnection. So there's some kind of an invisible oneness that we need to stay alive. Where does oneness come from if there isn't some one center? So maybe that could point people to ask these questions more deeply than Ricky says. But you see, Maximus, getting back to Maximus the Confessor, I wish I had a graphic of his icon today, but I forgot to find that one. You know, I wish I could see your guys' chat because it's not showing up entirely on my screen. Let's make all messages visible. Yes. So, are you guys listening to this? Yeah, of course, Nietzsche is smarter than Ricky Gervais. It's probably why he went mad with the tools that he had, but it was in the family, so, you know, we don't know. But what Maximus explained, Maximus said that man, as far as, you know, why he's created, that the human being in between the invisible creation and the say inanimate objects and creation of the natural world, that man has a mediating role in his main purpose being uniting all of the diversity of creation in the world. And why does man have that special purpose? Because, as far as, I mean, everybody also has their own specific vocations, but each human being, I mean, but as all of humankind, you know, as far as all of humankind goes, man is created, I hope people don't come after me for using gender offensive or whatever it's called, exclusive language. Man is created in the image of God. God, the big source of unity, right? The one God that has created everything in order to share in his being in oneness. All right. So man is given a special role, according to the teaching of Maximus, to overcome the divisions in the world that indeed become that occur also that occur everybody or become damaging in a way that's not enriching. You know, diversity can be very enriching in life, but it can be damaging depending on the kind of purpose it embraces. If it embraces God's purpose, it's enriching. So anyway, the kinds of divisions that are overcome in God are the ones that man is working on overcoming by his own process of deification. So insofar as we have communion with God and become closer to Him, we are overcoming the potentially harmful sides, not necessarily harmful, but harmful in our fallen, that means disconnected from God state, divisions, and he lists 5 divisions that are overcome in our deification process. This is Maximus the Confessor. So the divisions. This is gonna, if you're not familiar with the writings of Maximus the Confessor, this will generate a lot of questions in your mind. But anyway, I'm touching upon this just superficially to say that this is not, someone like Ricky Gervais comes around and he thinks, there are no answers and that religion is like helpless or hasn't contemplated this as a thinking person like he who comes along, the day before yesterday and has the answers. I feel like that's, of course, I know how presumptuous that is, number one, although I appreciate him from an artistic side, he's no dummy. But as far as this subject matter goes, there are very just, great, I would say also works of art of great thinkers of the Christian past and present also, reaching deep and sharing their experience of God's revelation, like Maximus Confessor, right? And giving us remarkable insights in this great family of talented people that we have from past, present, and also future in what is called church, that we're given this wealth of explanations and insights that are life-bringing to us. So anyway, so Maximus has these, he talks about, he talks about the divisions of created and uncreated, but God is uncreated, but created, and in man, God and man come together, and the incarnation of Christ, who becomes man for the sake of our salvation, and so forth, is this connection. It's an overcoming in man of the division between created and uncreated. Okay, then there's the division between the intelligible and the sensible, that is, that we can sense with our physical senses, and that which we perceive only through our minds. These invisible and visible worlds are also connected or unified in the human being. Then there is the division between heaven and earth. That's number 3. Number 4 is the division between paradise and universe. And number 5 is interesting, male and female. Overcome everybody in our deification process. But what that means is a whole other conversation. Anyway, so I wanted to just touch upon the fact that there are intuitions that are sort of obvious, that yes, we can, through the wonders of the natural world, supposedly, as this atheist, Ricky Gervais, says, that gives us a reason to live. But does it really? Does it really, if you don't realize all of this, the deep thoughts and purposes, or Logoi, of God in all of this? It's really missing so much, but thank you to Ricky Gervais anyway for, stumbling upon, I suppose, these questions and giving us something to say, oh yeah, that's been all thought about in the church. And so let me see what you guys are saying to me, and I'm gonna wrap this up. Oh, did I say to you that I'm gonna slam maxi dresses today? You guys are here. Sam Rogers is saying hi, Sam, and Simon. Before I go, how much time have I been on? See, the thing is, I can't even see where the timer thing is, so that I could say, sister, it's already, it's 4:30 over here. Okay, I do have to wrap this up. But, Oh, wait. I've stopped something here. It's not good. All right. I think you're still with me, right? Before I go, final thing, I will tell you two things. I will slam the maxi dresses um, right now. One second. Let's buy Ricky Gervais. I want to report to you that despite all of our efforts to rid the world of this particular ill, this is what I spotted on a street of Vienna just this morning. All right, I'm going to put this down. I don't know if the guy is going to sue me, but this fellow, God bless him, of course, has popped his collar. So it's a little bit adorable, right? I talked about the lack of self-awareness in certain men, but you know, don't do it, gentlemen. Don't do it. Don't pop the collar. And the poor guy, it probably is going to put this on the list of hashtag why I'm single. And he's alone. So unless you're intending to be single and you're happily celibate, like in my case, I dress a certain way that goes onto the list of hashtag why I'm single, right? So getting to that, ladies, let's stop hassling the men. Here's what you can put on hashtag why I'm single if you are wearing these maxi dresses. I know it's a trend. I know they can be perhaps comfortable, but as you can see, I think these are celebrities, but I don't even know which ones. You're sweeping the streets with this dress. Let's face it, it's so self-consciously bohemian, right? You don't look like a goddess floating down the beach when you're going to the office this way. You look like you're pregnant when you're not. I mean, God bless pregnant women, right? You're going to say, but sister, you wear long dresses. Well, exactly. But if you're a sister, then please. But this floral, wrapping yourself in, covering 3/4 of your body in this usually print. Oh, I like to tease you people. But look, if this is not absolutely necessary, why put yourself through this? I know you're going to say it's comfortable. It's not always comfortable, is it, when you're tripping and taking small steps and I don't know. I can't shake off my aversion to this, and I had to share it with you, everybody. Ladies, I don't know. And they don't make you look taller if you're short. They somehow do highlight any imperfection that somebody already has. Do you notice that? But some feminists say this is really women just do it for themselves because it's comfortable, they cover everything up and whatever, but I don't know, everybody. People say that there's the type of, woman that could look good in this, but I've never seen it work for anybody. I really haven't. So I think you see the woman, she's walking down the street and she's always tugging at this dress when she's wearing a maxi dress. It looks a little funny. So anyway, my message to you, my unsolicited fashion tip is, I think not a good idea, these dresses, all right? I don't think it's a good idea. You guys have a great Saturday. I'm sorry for all of the trials, and thanks for sticking it out with our technical difficulties. I love you people, and I highly encourage you to subscribe so that we can survive. I ask you this every week, and not many of you respond, but I'm telling you, we need you to subscribe to Patreon because we do provide a lot of stuff, most of our stuff actually for free online, okay, to support people insofar as we can on their daily journeys of faith, okay? But we also need your support, so don't hesitate. Do it now. Subscribe to our Patreon page, my friends. And do not forget, you will get access to a lot of interesting podcasts, over 250. So it's not like you don't get anything for it. You get a lot of material. Okay, There's the link, patreon.com/Sister Vassa. And don't forget, let's take the maxi dresses down. That's just an eyesore, as you will be if you're wearing one. But look at this. Wait, that's not what I wanted to do. Don't forget that we're putting up 2 a week of our very popular Divine Liturgy videos now here on YouTube. Okay, so we're going through the entire Divine Liturgy, so Google it, look for it in YouTube. It's called Intro to Divine Liturgy. All right, so check out those videos, learn something new this summer, my friends. All right, not only about wisdom in summer fashion and the burning issues of it. All right, much love to all of you people. I didn't say personally hello to you, but I love you and I see your names. And as soon as we get off air, I will read your comments. I was busy with technical issues, unfortunately. All right, I love everybody. Please pray for us. Please subscribe to Patreon. And I will see you next week when we have an interview for you with the brilliant Professor Susan Ashbrook Harvey. Bye-bye, everybody.